And as we enter the final stretch to November, One America's Jack Posobiec met up with RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel to get her take on the committee's ground game with just 45 days left until Election Day.
Okay, so we're here in Wisconsin. We're talking about the ground game. Tell me, what is the campaign planning to do in terms of numbers here on the ground in Wisconsin for the next 45 days until the election?
We're blanketing all of Wisconsin. We're knocking doors, making calls. We've already made 9 million voter contacts. We're well ahead of where we were in 2016 because we know how pivotal Wisconsin is going to be to victory in 2020, and we're not taking any vote for granted. And we're doing this across the country. The Trump campaign is fighting for every vote. We're showing up. We're asking people to vote for President Trump, and Biden's sitting in his basement just taking voters for granted and not fighting for their vote.
Do you see the Democrat Party, the Biden campaign, putting together the same type of ground game here in the Rust Belt states as you guys are?
I think it says a lot about the Biden campaign and their lack of interest in the Rust Belt states that they have not organized and created a volunteer base to go knock doors. And it's not just me saying this. This is Democrats saying this and states saying, where are you, Joe Biden? Why aren't you showing up and fighting for our vote? And it's reminiscent of Hillary Clinton, who didn't ever show up in Wisconsin, that he just thinks that these voters are going to vote for him if he doesn't show up and ask for their vote. And President Trump has never done that. He's shown up in these states over and over again, not just for their vote, but because he cares about hardworking, average Americans. And that's why he's fought for better trade deals, lower taxes, lower regulation, things that have made lives better for people in Wisconsin.
Now, one thing I noticed kind of walking through, and I've been to a couple other victory offices, is that it really seems the emphasis now is on door knocking versus in the past there was a lot of phone banking that would go on. Has that been a shift in strategy, and what's the thinking there?
So door knocking is just more impactful, especially if it's neighbor to neighbor. When you're knocking your own neighborhood and you have kids in common, or your kids go to school together, or you know each other, you're going to be able to have a more meaningful conversation about what's at stake with this election. And that is why we emphasize door knocking, because we know that it is the best way to change a vote and to motivate somebody to vote, and also to get them to talk to their family about the conversation you had with your neighbor about, did you know Joe Biden's going to raise taxes on 82% of American families? Did you know he wants to make us dependent on Iran and China? And he's not about good trade deals for people in Michigan and Wisconsin and Ohio that matter so much when we have family members working in those industries. So that person-to-person conversation is such a difference maker, and that's why the RNC has trained over 2 million volunteers this election cycle and have 2,000 staff on the ground, because we know that pushing out that vote through door knocks is going to be critical.
Last question. So you guys are out here. The president was out here last night. We're looking at the schedule. It definitely seems like these Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, pushing into, it'll be in Minnesota later today. How is it looking internally in terms of these states? I mean, is it, the media tends to say that it's some kind of blowout, but with the amount of work that you guys are doing here, it seems like it might be a little closer.
So there's two things you look at as a campaign. One is, where's the momentum? Where's the trend? Every single state is trending towards Donald Trump. But beyond that, our numbers have him winning in these battleground states right now. We feel very good about where we stand in states like Wisconsin and Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania, but we're also going to continue to show up and not lose traction. And as that momentum shifts and the energy's there, we're capitalizing on it. And Biden is sitting in his basement just assuming that these states are going to vote for him, and I think it's a mistake.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.